Hi, everybody. I just wanted to come on here for just a quick minute and thank everybody who responded to our video appeal that we put out this morning. And basically what happened a little bit ago was that the Idaho House of Representatives voted 34-34, defeating the teacher portion of the budget for the state's K through 12 education system. This is really cool, and I want to thank everybody for participating in this. Basically, what I told everyone yesterday, if you didn't have a chance to watch the video, is we can't approve funding for our education system until there is some kind of a guarantee that the money that's being appropriated, more than $1 billion, will not be used for the indoctrination of our young people in grades K through 12. And it is happening. There's documented evidence that it's happening. There are members of the legislature who spoke to that effect today. And I think as the result of your input and some really great lawmakers on the floor of the House, the education budget, this teacher portion of the budget, failed 34-34, and now they'll have to go back and write a new budget. All we're asking for, and all we've been asking for, are some guarantees that your money and my money won't be used to indoctrinate young people. They won't be taught to support Black Lives Matters. They won't be taught that if you're white, you're a racist. They won't be taught that gender is fluid and can be whatever you want to be on any particular day of the week. That's all we're asking for is just a prohibition on funding being used for this lefty nonsense that we're seeing, starting with pre-kindergarten and running into the higher education system. We've talked a lot about the higher education system this year. We've talked a lot about pre-kindergarten, and those fights are still underway. But thanks to the House of Representatives, there will not be, we hope anyway, there will not be a bill that doesn't have some kind of prohibitions that doesn't keep. Boy, that's a lot of negatives. Let me say it differently. There should be a bill that basically eliminates the possibility that your money is being used for indoctrination, and that's a really, really critical thing. And it's been. I was trying to think when the last time a public K through 12 budget failed on the House, and I can't remember. I'm sure I've seen it happen, but my memory isn't very clear on when. But this was a pretty historic moment for our state, where the representatives said, you know what, we've got to. It doesn't hurt anything. And in fact, we heard, and you'll see some of these videos posted a bit later, but we heard a lot of legislators say, we support our teachers, and there are a lot of teachers who are being forced to teach this stuff, and putting some kind of language in the appropriation bill will protect teachers from being told to teach this stuff. So, you're right, Dennis. I mean, what we're seeing is basically the education system being used as a mechanism to override parents. To teach things that they otherwise would not be exposed to at home. And one of the things that they're being taught in the education system, pre-kindergarten, K through 12, and the higher education system, is that if you're a white person, you're a racist. If you believe that people ought to be treated equally, that you shouldn't have race be a defining factor in a person's life experience, then you don't understand. You're not woke enough to understand what minority people face, and that's. I mean, honestly, I'm so sick to death of this nonsense. In fact, if you watched my video yesterday, you'll know I'm very upset with these bureaucrats, these government employees, telling us that you're a racist if you believe that everyone should just live in a meritocracy where you're basically able to succeed or fail based on your willingness to commit your blood, sweat, and tears into your outcome, your goals. And instead we're supposed to treat people as if they are victims, and we divide society into two people, two classes, oppressors and victims, and white people are naturally oppressors and have been for centuries, and people of color, minorities of any sort, are victims, and that's just wrong. So in any event, I think the message is getting through, but I'd ask you to keep the pressure up. This was one budget, one appropriation budget for the K through 12 education system, and there are 3 more still hanging on the House calendar that will have to be approved or sent back to committee for further consideration. I'm hoping that they'll send them all back, but there are other ways of taking on the issue. But the point is that the legislature, at least the House, seems to have gotten the message loud and clear, and they're willing to do something about this critical race theory and social justice agenda that's in our education system. So keep the pressure up. The vote today was pretty telling. So contact your state representatives and your state senator and tell them to make sure that the budget for the K-12 education system contains restrictions so that your money, our money, cannot be used to teach social justice and critical race theory. Number 2, Senate Bill 1193 is going to be considered probably tomorrow or the next day in the House. Senate Bill 1193 is the bill that would give a $6 million grant to the Idaho Association for the Education of Young Children to basically start a pre-kindergarten program statewide, and that pre-kindergarten program is being run by an organization that has very lefty tendencies and has openly promoted using books that are filled to the brim with activist, very left of center, very socialist-minded, very Marxist-minded curricula for our young kids. And I'm not making that up. If you don't believe me, go watch the videos we have on YouTube with Representative Priscilla Giddings, where she's reading some of those books, and it's very, very disturbing. So that bill is waiting to be heard on the House floor. And then finally, the Budget Committee, the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee, will be meeting probably tomorrow to put together a budget for the higher education system. This is the time when the members of the Budget Committee need to understand and put in place. They already voted down a budget for the higher education system, but now is the time where they need to put into the next budget prohibitions on the teaching of critical race theory and social justice and the indoctrination of young people. They need to also put in place a tuition freeze on our higher education system for the 21-22 academic year. And then I'd also like to see that that we put in place some ability for students to be able to opt out of programs that they don't want or need or use. So that's a lot of stuff. So all we're saying is we've got the wind is in our sails. The wind is in our sails. We're winning. This is what winning looks like, and we were able to do it thanks to you. But you got to keep up the pressure. So I appreciate all the comments. If you don't know how to get a hold of your legislators, I highly recommend that you go to IdahoFreedomIndex.com. You can put in your address, and it'll bring up your contact information for your 2 representatives and your state senator. I apologize for being a little scattered in my thinking right now, but this is really exciting. We were really hoping that we would see a situation where the House rejects the education budget until we see language in the budget that prevents the misuse of your money, and it looks like we're going to get it, and it really is fantastic news. And thank you so much for supporting our efforts, and we'll keep you posted on what's happening. Be sure to let your friends and your neighbors know what's happening as well, so they can get involved, because we need all hands on deck right now to really put the nail in the coffin of the social justice indoctrination taking place in our education